Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today's video is for you micro quadcopter fanatics. I've got some new components to check out, so let's get straight to it. The first one that I want to mention is this. This is the multiFlite PICO-F3 board. It's a new flight controller, and I don't mention this company enough, but I actually have started getting all of my brushed motors from multiFlite. They are really cheap and they're based in the UK, which is awesome. So this flight controller is a bit of a game changer. So as I mentioned, it's got an F3 chip, but it's got lots of features, so let's talk through them. So you can see here I've got some things connected up already. I've got my DSM2 satellite. This is the Orange RX satellite, and you get given this cable here because that is a 3-pin connector to a DSM satellite connector. You get given that's a really nice touch there. And then you can see here I've got this FTDI adapter connected. Now you do have to buy this separately, but you can buy it from multiFlite, and again that just connects in there. That is because this thing is so tiny, there's no USB connector, but they provide you the lead to connect it into a computer to mess with CleanFlight. So it does come with CleanFlight already installed on it. I'm going to be adding Betaflight, hence why I have connected this already, and there is a bunch of features on this. Now this is the version of the board where the connectors are already soldered, so there's not a lot of soldering that I'm going to need to do on this, but you do have to pay extra for that. So I'm just going to flip the board over here, and you can see there, I'm not sure if it's going to come up on camera, but there is a plus and minus voltage, and it says buzz underneath, and you can add a 3.3 volt or 5 volt buzzer under there, which is connected to the VBAT, and you can set it up in CleanFlight to go off when your battery is getting low. That is really unique for a micro brushed quadcopter, so I really like that. Another thing that you can do under here is there is a 3.3 volt or 5 volt jumper. If you jump that, then this cable can then accept one of the new FRSKY S-Bus receivers. I'll link to that in the description. In fact, I'll link to all of this in the description if you're interested in it. So yes, you can get one of those new receivers and use your Taranis to fly this with, which is pretty cool. And also there's a 5 volt regulator as well for your FPV gear. It's built in, and you're given the cable as well, so got various cables over here. I'll talk about that. So here you can see there it's a 3-pin connector, and that just goes into there. Let me get it the right way around. So that is your 5 volt power for your FPV gear, and I'm going to be using one of the Hyperion Quantum Elite cameras, and that's just going to solder up to there. With this one there is minimal soldering, which is great. So the other wires that you are given with this one is a female JST wire. Now it's recommended that you use a JST connector with brushed micro quadcopters because you can get the most current through them. So these have got, I think it's 10 amp FETs, so you're going to get a lot of power out of this, the most power that you could probably get out of a micro. However, I don't have any batteries that use a JST connector, so you are provided a micro losi connector with the kit as well. It's recommended that you use the ones with silicon wires because there's going to be a lot of heat going through there and you get the best amount of current through there. So that is all the wires, and yeah, as I mentioned, it's just a couple of things I need to solder, only 2 things, which is going to be the battery there at the bottom and also the FPV wire. And that's about it. So yeah, I would recommend getting this one where the connectors are already connected. Oh, another good thing as well is there's a bind button, so you don't have to mess about putting in bind commands into CleanFlight. You can just press that button and bind your receiver really easily. Now this version of the Pico actually comes with 4 tabs underneath there, so you can screw it into your frame. However, I've ripped those off because I'm just gonna use a sticky pad to put it into place. And of course the motors have all these connectors on them, so they're just plug and play as well. It is a really nice kit. So that's the multiFlite controller dealt with. The frame, I'm going to be using this Picnicquads Racer frame. Now Dave Woods from Picnicquads sent me an email and said, look, I have made this setup. It's my favourite micro racer. I'm going to send it to you and you can have a look at it. So I'm going to. This is a carbon fibre frame. It's actually got wood in the middle of it. And we've got these motor holders here. So the motors will just stick in the end there. We've got a couple of rubber bands. And also, what he's done is he's created these antenna protectors, which I'm interested to try out. You can see there, it's like a thick material and it bends over the top of your antenna, because these antennas on these little cameras are a little bit brittle and are known to bend really easily. So that is to protect that. And we have a couple of carbon fiber plates and screws. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that. I want to keep the weight down on this one, but there's not really a lot to build here. It's just sort of slot together, so I'm going to do that now and hopefully it's going to come out well. So just as I thought, that build could not have been any easier. It took me about 20 minutes in total, and as I mentioned before, there's just two things that needed to be soldered. The first one was the camera to the provided JST connector there, so I've just used some heat shrink over the top of that. That's extra materials there, I guess. And I have soldered in the micro losi connector. The multiFlite board is connected to the frame using double-sided sticky tape, and I used a little bit left over to stick the DSM satellite in on the top as well. Also, I have added one of these straps here. They're also available at Picnicquads. They are my favourite straps for micro quadcopters. And you'll also notice that I didn't go with the hoop protector. Instead, I thought it was a really nice build with this small carbon plate that has been provided there. So you're given some screws and nuts and you just screw them up like that, and also underneath, and that gives you a nice platform for the camera, and that works really well. So of course, another advantage of this frame is it takes the rolling spider props, which give a lot of power. So for the batteries, I'm going to be using either these are a bit old now, these are the Nanotech 750 milliamp batteries. They are 35 to 70C, and also what I find works well with this as well, these square eSheen batteries for the X6 hexacopter. Those fit underneath there just absolutely perfect, so I'll be using those as well. Now the weather is terrible, so I'm not going to be doing any outside flying with this. However, I'm going to do a line of sight flight with this because you want to see the punch of these propellers and motors. It is really good. And then I'm going to do some FPV indoors as well, going back to old school. I just want to thank Giles from multiFlite for sending this in. It is brilliant. Definitely check it out. I also want to thank Dave as well from Picnicquads. This is a really nice setup, and you're probably thinking, you know, why should you get this over the QX90? And I guess the only reason really is it takes these propellers, so it's a little bit bigger and you get more power out of these propellers than you do the Hubsan style propellers. So let's go and take it for a fly and see how we get on. I'm going to arm it with my arming switch. You can see the motors are moving there. Let's go for a takeoff. I'm taking off in angle mode here. And one of the first things that you will notice is how quiet this thing is. The rolling spider props and these motors are a really good combination. This thing is so fast. Let's do a punch out test. Now this is indoors, remember. Wow! Nearly hit the ceiling there. There is so much power, you know, I think this could compete even with my micro brushless setups. That is impressive. So there's a couple of things that I didn't mention so far with this one, and that is that you can actually add an LED indicator to this one for when the battery is getting low. You just replace an LED in that buzzer slot there. Another thing that you can do is get an expansion board to add 2 extra motors to make this a hexacopter. And lastly, you can actually plug this flight controller into a computer with the battery connected, so that is something that's pretty rare for a micro. Just look at this, this is so awesome. So something that I'm going to try next is something I've never done before, and that is acro indoors. Now this could be a complete disaster, but let's try it. I've set the rates to 0.7, going to gain some height. Oh, it's a little bit squirrely there. That is my fault. I am not used to it at all. Look at that. That is awesome. Ooh. I think that might be enough of that. Maybe one more go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's enough of that. Back into angle mode. Just look how fast this thing can fly around this room. It is so impressive. Okay, I think it's time to do a landing. And disarm. Because what I want to try now is to fly FPV around this room now. I've not done it before, but I've got an idea. Right, so what I want to do is use this door here as an air gate. If we open this door here, and then what I want to do is fly through here, fly into the kitchen, and back around and through. But I want to do that as fast as possible. So I'm going to start off slow and hopefully get my speed up and get some nice fast flying through here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers.